Tennessee number 9 in a recent poll by, this one's reputable. This is not some just goofball putting together a graphic and showing it on Twitter. This is College Football News, and it's ranking what they believe will be the AP top 25 preseason projection. So let's go ahead and start out with 4 downs, and our guy Cooper Mays will take care of that. First, Cooper, what do people need to do if they like the channel?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Quick and to the point. That's easy. All right, Coop, what down?
Coop here. First down.
First down, Georgia number 1 in this College Football News preseason ranking. Any argument with that? Give me a reason to go rogue on this, Caleb, because I'm having trouble.
There is no reason. Georgia's going to be ranked number 1 in the preseason AP poll this year. Now, whether or not they could actually be a debate, because Michigan actually has an argument that they return a lot more talent than Georgia. I mean, are we to believe that Georgia can handle this amount of attrition 2 years in a row on top of all the discipline issues they've had this offseason? I mean, you can't convince me that's not going to come back to bite them.
Well, it's a lot of attrition, and we'll determine this year if they've got it rolling like Alabama did in the heyday with Nick Saban, right? This is the year for Georgia where you say not only are they like decade great, but they're generational great, and they take over for Alabama. A lot of things could still come up, but right now you have to look at it and think that, hey, they've got it rolling like that. But you're right, a lot of losses 2 years in a row. But we said that about Alabama in their heyday, and what would they do? They'd plug somebody right back in.
They never repeated.
Well, that's true. Craft Treat says, Coop, what down?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Thank you. It is second down. All right, second down, Alabama number 3, too high, too low. I know you like Michigan. They're number 2. So do you like Alabama at number 3?
I think the AP poll is going to put Alabama at number 3, and they're going to be wrong. It's going to be too high. It's going to be way too high. Like, if I were actually projecting my end of the season, I'm not sure I got Alabama top 10 finishing the year.
Wow.
But,
all right. Yeah. So that leads me to third down, Coop.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
Notice he adds a little bit to his title as we keep going. All right, Coop. So we've got LSU at 6. That's 3 spots behind Alabama. I get the feeling you're not going to be happy with that, Caleb Calhoun.
I actually am happy with it because I think that's where they'll come in to start the year. I think the AP poll will have them at 6. I think the top 5 is so clear cut that you just can't argue with it. And then LSU would be the highest ranked team that you're not sure of after that. Me personally, I would have him in the top 5, but I understand why they're number 6, because I think that you have to put, I mean, Georgia and Alabama are shoo-ins, and Ohio State, Michigan, those are shoo-ins for the top 4. No one's going to debate those. And then USC had the Heisman winner, returns the Heisman winner, and probably did better in the transfer portal than anybody, and has Lincoln Riley back for a second year. So no one's really going to debate them at number 5 either. So LSU is the first debatable team, and they're the highest of them, and I think that's how the AP poll sees it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Tennessee's in at 9. Run those down for me.
Okay, so obviously they project that Georgia will start the year number 1, that Michigan starts the year number 2, that Alabama starts the year number 3, that Ohio State starts the year number 4, that USC starts number 5, that LSU starts number 6. And this is going to make my head explode, but they're right. I think the AP poll is going to put Florida State at number 7, the most overrated team in football this year. And
then you've got who's ahead of Tennessee at 9?
They got Penn State at number 8. And I do think Penn State will start the year ranked ahead of Tennessee. I think they finished last year close to Tennessee, and they returned a little more talent, and people seem to be higher on their quarterback than Tennessee's quarterback.
Coop, what down?
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
It is third down. LSU number 6, too high, too low.
Oh, LSU number 6. Just right in terms of what the AP is going to do, but too low overall. They're a top 5 team.
I think it's just right on both, but I think they have the highest ceiling of all these teams. So I don't see them falling below 6 or 7 at the end of the year, but I could see them being number 1 as well. I think it's Georgia, and we talked about this. Everybody else is on a lower tier. So, Coop, throw out some accolades. What down?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
He is all SEC center. At least he will be for sure. He will be preseason. All right, so Tennessee is at number 9. Is that too high or too low?
Okay, y'all hear me out. It should be too low, but it's too high. I don't think the AP poll is going to have Tennessee at the top 10 to start the year. Do you, Dave? I think voters are going to be too skeptical of Joe Milton, and they're going to put him at 11 or 12.
The AP really likes Josh Heupel. The writers like Josh Heupel. So I could see them being 9 or 10 in the AP poll, and 11, 12, 13 needs to earn his stripes in the coaches poll. That's based off voting preferences. That's not based off where he should be. I believe that Georgia is in a tier all to themselves, and everybody is looking up at them right now. Is Tennessee in that second tier? Let me ask you that question. Are they in the tier of essentially, I think the locks for the second tier, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and I think you and I will agree with that. The locks for the second tier, using my methodology, Georgia number 1, that's tier 1. Okay. Everybody else is second tier. Again, my methodology. Second tier, I've got Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, LSU. And I'm not sure if I got Tennessee in that second tier or they're one of the top teams on the third tier. Tier. I said
I got them at a top team on the third tier. And the reason is nobody on this message board that is not a complete and total homer is seriously thinking that Tennessee is a legitimate national title contender this year. I mean, you and I would be beyond shocked if Tennessee won the national title, wouldn't we? You think I'm crazy for saying 2024, much less 2023.
I would be very surprised, but it wouldn't take a lot. It would take Carson Beck not being able to get it done at Georgia. That's pretty much all it would take for me. If I see Carson Beck come out in the first 4 games and he's a big dud, then I think suddenly that second tier is open, and I've got Tennessee on the second tier, unlike you, of teams that need some breaks but can win a national championship. So maybe I'm a little bit more bully on Tennessee in 2023 than you. When I look at Georgia, they don't need breaks. They don't need to stay healthy. They could lose some dudes. All they need is Carson Beck to come in and be a competent or above competent quarterback. If that happens and they're golden, the rest of these teams need breaks, every single one of them.
Okay, let's just throw out you're watching a standard college football show, and a group of, maybe it's this show, and a group of analysts are coming on and giving their national championship predictions. They're picking somebody other than Georgia. You wouldn't be surprised if they picked Ohio State, Alabama, maybe Michigan, maybe USC. If they picked Tennessee, you would be like, what? Nobody is picking Tennessee on any television show.
Here's the way I break down my tiers. Georgia needs no help. Things could just break out in a normal season. Obviously, I'm not talking about a rash of 15 injuries, which I've covered teams that's happened. Okay, so we're on the same page. You're always gonna have 2 or 3 or 4 significant injuries through the season. So I'm talking about they don't need anything to happen except to stay relatively healthy. The next tier to me is Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and LSU. They need a break to happen. The next tier, which Tennessee is number 1, they need 2 things to happen. They need Carson Beck to not be a good quarterback at Georgia. They need things to go their way at Tuscaloosa. So those are 2 things significant that need to happen. My second tier is there is 1 significant thing that needs to happen, and we could break those down individually. We don't need to right now between Michigan, Ohio State, LSU, and Alabama. I think Tennessee needs a couple of breaks. I think those teams on the second tier need about 1 break, and they're good to go.
So what you're saying is Tennessee needs stumble and fumble, Chris Winkie injury, and a Florida team that turns the ball over 5 times.
They need 2. They need 2 of the 3 of those. They don't need 3. Yeah. That's my 4th tier. They need those teams need a lot of help. It's like the South Carolinas of the world. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I think Tennessee is firmly in that 3rd tier, knocking on the door of the 4th tier. And I could change everything if Joe Milton comes out and plays well against Florida. Then they're a 2nd tier team. There's no question. But I think they got a lot of little things that need to bounce their way.
No stock in Virginia?
What's that?
No stock in Virginia? You're saying Virginia won't tell us anything about Joe Milton?
No, I've jumped past Virginia. And to some extent, I've jumped past who else is it? Austin P. And I know we should all be afraid of University of Texas San Antonio, but that's one of those I want to see it first. I mean, everybody's saying, "Oh, be afraid of UTSA." Not UTSA, please.
See, if I did that, Dave would get so annoyed with my accent, with my voice.
Well, it's because your accent sounds weird. Mine sounds really.